this one.
I'm very shy normally.
How cute.
I'm recording, yeah, I'm recording.
Just let me know when you're ready.
You can go anytime now.
Okay.
So
Okay,
can you?
first of all, I want to welcome you all here, and thank you for coming out tonight. It's really a delight to see you. The energy is just terrific from you people. You can feel that, unlike an energy sponge. And that's what forms the basis of what I talk about. It all comes from what I feel from everybody else. And tonight we're going to be talking about the secret of knowing. Now, we're going to cover a lot of things within that framework. And obviously, as we know, the knowing comes from the mind, all right? That's really typically how we see the knowing that we're looking for. Now, in this particular situation that we're in, this manifestation, this lifetime, what happens is we're simply just trying to find out who we are. It's really that simple, okay? Now, what happens? What happens is, as part of trying to find out who we are, we want to know, okay? We want to know the truth. Right? We don't want to know lies. Right? We don't want to know anything that's not the truth. So basically what happens is we become mind-based. All right? Because what happens is that no matter what we feel, what happens is that our mind is judging that which we feel. It's judging it to be true or not true. The same thing with love. All right? We look for love. We look for connection. And the connection that we look for, we're trying again to find the truth. We're trying to find out what is the secret that will allow me to be in connection with somebody, to be fully in connection with someone, so that I know that I am. I know that I am two things. We want to know just two things in this whole process. One, I'm okay. And two, everything's going to be fine. That's all we want to know. That's what it's about in this particular manifestation. Now, in trying to find out who we are, what we end up doing is we end up trying on a lot of who we're not. It's the experimentation. Life, as we live it, is like one big masquerade party. All right? We start out as children. All right? And we play mama with dolls, or we play that we're Indians. Okay, we're running around from the Wild West. All right? We play soldiers. We play all these kind of things. All right? And because we saw a picture of it one time, we saw it in a movie, we saw some other kids playing like that. And so what we do is we start to try to emulate them. We try on different disguises, different costumes. And the costume closet itself is just infinite. Infinite. Classic example I use is that of the small child, maybe a 5-year-old child who thinks he's a clown. And so he gets all dressed up like a clown. Okay, he's got frizzy hair, okay, red big mop of frizzy hair with a blue stripe down, and oversized shoes, okay, a big nose, a big red nose, honking its horn, okay. And he runs outside and starts honking the horn at people, doing silly things. And nobody laughs. He goes over another group, he honks the horn. And nobody laughs again. Does that a few times, and what happens? It's crushed. Absolutely crushed. Didn't get any attention. Didn't get any connection. Is further confused as to who he is or she is. Goes back into the house, takes off the clown outfit, throws that in the hamper. So at that point, what's happened? What's happened is he or she has learned one thing that they're not. They're not a clown. And so what we do is we go through life continually trying on new costumes, trying to find out the truth, trying to know who we are, who we might be, what we think we would like to be. And so we have this huge closet, all these wonderful costumes. When I say wonderful costumes, I don't care how shabby they are, okay? I don't care how outrageous the colors are. They're absolutely priceless because we're going to learn from those. We're going to learn that that's not who we are. But we're not going to know that until we do it, until we try it. Now what happens is we again say we want to know. I want to know who I am. I want to know that I'm loved. I want to know that I'm connected, that I'm not all alone. And so what happens is we continually try to seek connection with others. And again, we want to know. And that's the word that that keeps coming up in our lifetime, is I want to know. Why am I not able to know? Okay? What's stopping me from knowing? If you get into a relationship with someone, whether it be a parental relationship, a significant other relationship, you want to know and you say to them, well, why won't you show me who I am? Why won't you let me know? Why won't you give me what I want to know? And what happens basically is that, again, the word knowing is a word of the mind, okay? And the mind thinks that this is the true answer that is going to be found within the mind. Now, the only thing we're going to find in the mind is the mind's definition of the word. So if you have the definition of knowing, it's a lot different than knowing and really knowing. Words are not knowing. And yet, we continually look to the words within ourselves, within others, for that truth, for that knowing. And yet, in the mind, we cannot know. We can think we know, but we can't know. And the reason for that is that the mind creates a game. And the mind's game is control. The mind wants to control everything. And why does the mind want to control everything? The mind wants to control everything and know everything because it believes, in fact it knows, that there will come a point when the mind itself no longer exists. The mind has a fear of death, of disconnection. And so what happens in the mind, when we get up in the mind, we're dealing with all the little barriers that the mind sets up to keep us from knowing that which it is afraid to know, that which it has no clue about. And so what happens is, if we take an example, for example, of love, for example, and we want to be loved, we want to be connected. And what happens is that we have our own definition of connection. Again, definition, where does that come from? It's from the mind, right? So essentially what happens is the knowing that we're seeking, the connection, the pure love, okay? the unconditional love, the lack of judgment, is not to be found in the mind. Okay? The mind does a great job of disguising everything, whether it be the costume of the tick with the, being a clown, the feeling of disconnection, okay? That sense of disconnection is really the thing that we fear the most, because it follows closely the mind's fear of death. Death to the mind is aloneness. Aloneness is disconnection. Disconnection, lack of love. And that's what happens. That's how this builds. Now, what happens actually is that we actually wear almost like a bubble, okay? And we have this bubble, and this bubble is our mind's projection of how far it's willing to go to accept something, to try something, to experience that which it has never experienced before. So the mind has this bubble. This is the barrier between relative truth of the mind and pure truth that exists outside the mind. Because pure truth is not subject to judgment. Everything in the mind is subject to judgment. It's what the mind does. It judges. So when the mind presents us with truth, it's the mind's version of truth. It's the mind saying to us, don't believe him, okay? Believe me, okay? He's not telling you the truth. I'll tell you the truth. And of course what happens then is we get on the merry-go-round again, right? The mind makes another loop. And the more times that we allow the mind to make the loop, the faster it spins, okay? As it spins, what happens? Picture the bubble spinning. The faster it spins, the more energy it creates to do what? Keep things in and keep things from getting in. So that which exists outside the mind, in the infinite, for example, okay, is blocked by the spinning of the mind. That's the bubble, okay? That's the mind's bubble. And as it spins, what does it do? It connects with all of us, all of our manifestational being here, okay? Now, what does that mean? And let me just, before I get there, I just want, just so everybody understands, you can stop me anytime, any question you have, anytime, okay? For any reason. You know, if you want to talk about cuckoo clocks, I don't care, all right? Whatever pops up, whatever's in your mind, let me have it, we'll deal with it, not a problem. I don't lose my place, okay? You can see my notes are really in good order here. So basically, now we'll get back to what the mind, with the spinning globe, okay? This globe. What happens is, if you wanted to view it, picture yourself as a small child. Now, as a small child, you really don't have any problems, do you? I mean, 2 years old, 3 years old, you know, what's the worst that happens to you, you know? You wet your pants, you know, and your mother gets annoyed and says, I told you, you know, you gotta stop doing this, and, you know, you go through something like that. But you're out there playing, running around, you bump into a tree, oh, and you fall down. If there's nobody there, what happens? You don't cry, okay? You get up, you know, and then you just kind of remember, I'm not going to bump into this tree again, hopefully, right? And then what happens is you go on, continue to play. Now, if somebody's watching and they say, oh my God, Linda, are you okay? You know, all this concern, this fear in the other person's voice, your mother's voice, for example, now, oh my God, and then you start to cry. Because now you know there was something to be afraid of. And so then the fear starts. Our natural state is that of the small child. That's our natural state. Pre-judgment, okay? Pre-being judged by anybody else, and pre-judging ourselves. Our judgment of self starts from others judging us. What we think their judgment is. Not what it truly is. What we think it is. Again, we're back up here. Okay? Now, what happens? What happens is this. We start putting little bricks up as we get hurt by judgments. We start building our wall. Okay? The personal wall. That's going to connect with all of this. This is not spinning so fast yet, because we haven't gotten deeply into judgment. We're judging and responding to judgment. But we're getting an idea, okay? Our aunt didn't like something we did, okay? So she yelled at us. Somebody else gave us a dirty look, okay? And so we were afraid of that. We didn't like that. All right? That's all starts to go into this bubble, okay? Now, just picture as we get older now, and let me just back up for a second. This is an important concept here. And it deals very, very much with the knowing, the wanting to know, and the ability to know. And we'll connect that with the secret of knowing. And there's also a secret of not knowing. Okay? Now, as we're building this wall, and it's thin as we're children, it's thin, it's flexible, pliable like a young child, okay? That's why we can take so much as a child, okay? And now, what happens is, all those judgments that we're getting from other people are coming into behind that wall, okay? Within us, within the bubble. And just picture the bubble now going pretty much around us, and this stuff is coming in. And the wall is being built to support the bubble, okay? But it's being built to keep people from hurting us. Now, understand one thing. The process itself of discovery, of life, it's really simple. All it is choices. You make a choice, you get a result. That's it. Nothing else. You make a choice, you get a result. Now what happens? Now what happens is the mind comes into the game. All right? The judgmental part of the mind comes into the game. Because now it judges the result. Okay? We're playing the game right. Well, we made a choice, so we got a result. And now the mind says, oh, I don't like the result. Why did you do that? So, from every choice, we get a result, and we learn from it. Whether we like the result, or we didn't like the result, we learn from it. Now, the really important part of this is that what we learn all gets filtered in. It's all judged. It gets labeled. This hurts. This doesn't hurt. This wasn't so bad. This was terrible. Okay. Now, what happens is everybody's choices and results, whether they're similar, dissimilar, totally different, okay, are judged by each one of us differently. Because the sum total of all of our choices is going to be different. Nobody will have exactly the same choices made, exactly the same results made. Now, what does that mean then? That means that each one of us is different. We're different in what I would call our experiential foundation, okay? With the bubble and the wall, okay? The more information that comes into the experiential foundation, the faster the bubble spins, okay? What this means, though, is that because your experiential foundation is different, not better, not worse, just different, okay? Just different. Because it is different, what that means is this connection that we're seeking, this love that we're seeking, okay? This non-aloneness that we're seeking cannot be given to us by anyone else exactly the way we want it. Because their experiential foundation is different. There's nothing wrong with us, and there's nothing wrong with them. It's just they can't love us exactly the way we want to be loved. Nor can we, no matter how much we want to, love them exactly the way they want to be loved. So what happens is, as this wall is growing, we are protecting ourselves more from the judgments, the hurtful judgments of others that we feel are hurtful. One person may be hurt by something that another would think is funny, would laugh at. It's all it's all a product of your experiential foundation. Now, here's the thing to keep in mind. The wall itself, the bubble itself, does what it's supposed to do, insofar as it keeps people away. Doesn't stop all the pain, because it's not perfect either. Because what's going to happen is the mind's going to judge that which happens. And it's going to make judgments that are not accurate many times. If I give you a dirty look, for example, right? You were like, why is she looking at me like that? Now, I may have had a horrible day. I may be thinking about something else, but I just ran into you. And if I knew how it affected you and I could take it back, I would take the dirty look back, okay? Because that's not what it was all about. But we take it as being, this was directed at me, okay? Now, so the wall itself, the bubble, they work. They do their job, not completely. The mind's not complete. Nothing we do is complete, okay? Within the mind or within the mind's purview. So what happens, though, is that the information, the reaction, the connection that we're that we're judging as negative, that we want to keep away from us because we don't want to get hurt, that's working, okay? But what's it doing? At the same time that I'm keeping you from hurting me, or trying to keep you from hurting me, what's happening? I'm also cutting off my connection with you. So if I wanted to connect with you, I can't. So what happens is we create a game that we can't win. The mind creates that game. And the more it happens, the more judgments that we get filled with, the faster it spins. The faster it spins, the less they can get through. Not only that, but what happens in the mind is, the faster it spins, the more of a jumble you get of the judgments. You can't even keep the judgments segregated in the proper space. Label 1, okay? This happened when I was 7, okay, and there were 3 people who didn't like me, okay? And now, as this spins faster and faster and faster, now suddenly, well, this happened when I was 27, and there were 16 people involved. Because the speed of it. The mind can't keep up with its own inertia. And that's why we have trouble remembering things accurately, or relating things exactly the way they happened. It's again, it's the mind spinning. Okay? Now, what's the significance of this? The significance of this is this. We allow our lives to be run by our minds. If you could picture, it's our mind, okay? It's my mind, okay? Mine. Okay, that's great. It's supposed to help me, all right, to make choices and get the results. So it's supposed to work for me, right? It's my mind. I'm making the choices. I'm trying to find out who I am, okay? And the mind is a device to help me find out. It's a tool to help me find out, to help me clear away all this other stuff, to help me get finished experiencing who I'm not, so that I get, by elimination, I keep getting closer to who I am. But what's happening is, it's like the hammer, okay, that is now turning around and using me to knock a nail into the ground or into a board. That's what's happening. It's almost like the mind puts a leash around you and a collar and leads you across the street. And this is what happens. And what happens is we buy into it again and again and again. When we can't sleep. When we get a headache, right? When we're worried about every little thing that goes on. Because again, the mind itself is shielding, okay, the spinning, okay, the spinning bubble, this wall. It's keeping stuff out, okay? And what happens is, as this spins, while this is spinning, you can't see through it. You can't see what really is. All you can see is what the mind's projected on that bubble, okay? And what the mind is telling you that it thinks it is. That's what you get. We're looking for pure truth in the mind. The mind wants pure truth. I want to know. Why can't I know? I want pure truth. Nothing less will do. Okay? In the mind, you cannot find pure truth. And why is that? It's really simple. Because nobody's truth is the same. Everyone has their own truth. Based upon what? Their experiential foundation. And all the information they've taken in. That's what forms their truth. And everybody's different, so you can't find pure truth in the mind. All you can find in the mind is limited truth, relative truth, relative to our experiential foundation. Okay? That's what we deal with. So when we have a conversation with somebody, and I'm talking with you, and I'm telling you my truth, and you're saying, well, my truth is better than yours. Okay? I've lived it. Don't tell me. And each one of us feels the same way. I've lived it. Now this is how it made me feel. Or this is how he made me feel. Or she made me feel. She didn't make you feel any way. He didn't make you feel any way. Your own judgment made you feel something. And that's what happens as we go through this. All right? Now, one thing to understand mind itself, because of its insecurity, always has to have somebody to blame. Always has to have somebody to blame. Now, unfortunately what happens is, who does it blame? Blames me, right? Yours blames you, and yours blames you, right? Now, we really weren't doing anything, were we? We were just trying to find out who we are. So we're going to do a lot of who or nots, okay? Classic one is saying something to somebody, and as soon as you said it, you knew you hurt them. And you go, oh, God, I wish I could take that back. That's not who I am. Well, of course, you can't take it back. But the truth is, that's not who you are. But you didn't know it until you did it. Another who we're not. And we do it again and again. Now, what happens is, the mind itself, again, we're dealing with the limited mind, the insecurities of the mind, and the mind itself, because it's insecure, never wants to be blamed for anything. When you do something really good, suppose you did something, you made a choice, and it came out so well. Something you're just fine, you're so happy, your mind is happy, okay? Well, and your mind is, say, just so happy. When is the last time your mind said to you, Jeannie, you did a great thing there? Right? I'm still waiting for mine to tell me that, okay? Instead, my mind is out there, organized a parade for itself, okay? It's marching down Stewart Avenue, right? And it's drum rolls and the whole bit. Look what I did. Snapping its suspenders, okay? And that's the mind. I did it. You had nothing to do with us. You're just carrying me around. I'm the top dog here. Now, we take the opposite situation. And now we make another choice. And the choice turns out so badly. So badly. And you say, oh, God. What am I going to do now? What does the mind say immediately? It says to me, Walter, you're so stupid. You did it again. How could you do it again? He goes on and on and on and on. He goes, wakes all the neighbors up. He says, look what Walter did. Hey, you know, he's so stupid, isn't he? The mind takes credit for everything and the blame for nothing. Now, the reason I bring this up in this way is that I want you to see that even though you've been taught all your life that you are your mind, you're not your mind. As soon as the going got tough, what happened? The mind just peeled off and left you out there to dry, didn't it? It said, Jeannie did it, Jeannie did it, she's so stupid, or Walter did it, okay? You're not your mind. The mind is simply a tool, simply a device. A wonderful device, okay? A helpful device, absolutely essential device for us to make choices and get results. Without our mind, what we walk around bumping into walls, okay? The mind finds doorways for us, okay? The mind finds ways to open doors that are locked or break windows. Does all kinds of things. Right? Now, as we get into this whole concept of mind itself, the mind is the one that's actually creating the expectations of knowing. All right? And the mind's expectations of knowing, again, are based upon what? Our experiential foundation. And each one of us is different. Okay? Our experiential foundations are all different. So now what we're trying to do is we're all trying to know in our mind that which cannot be known. Because you know stuff that you don't know. And you all know stuff that I don't know. And my mind still wants to know, why can't I know everything that everybody knows? Everything there is to be known. Well, we can see why not, okay? There's another piece to this. And the other piece to this is this. At the level of, well, let's just look at our process, life's process. And let's look at it from the standpoint of cause and effect, all right? And we understand, even the mind understands that from a cause, you get an effect. Now let's just turn it around a little bit. We're an effect, okay, that had to have a cause, right? And we will also be a cause, and something else will be an effect. I throw a brick through the window, then I'm the cause of the broken window, okay? And then the brick falls, goes through the window, falls on and chips the driveway, so it became the cause of the chip in the driveway, okay? Now just reversing it and going backwards. So we go backwards, and then we take and we look at it. It's very simple, okay? We were caused by something, okay? That something was caused by something. That something was caused by something. And so basically we go all the way back to what I call the uncaused, okay? That which has always been. And even by the mind's own logic, you can't really do anything about it, okay? You've got a cause and effect, and this is it. And this is, so there was something there, okay, to start with, that has always been, it's been there eternally. Now some people will humanize it more, he, she, it, whatever you want to say. People will call it Source, God, Yahweh, whatever, okay? And this is not about religion. It's what it is it's about the infinite itself. Because that which always has been, that which is uncaused, is infinite. Even if we take the mind's own definition, which is simply infinite means without a beginning, without an end. So what happens is, when we feel alone, we feel lost, we feel unloved, we feel disconnected. If we take the mind's own definition of infinite, what that simply means is that there's no front, and there's no back, there's no top, there's no bottom, there's no sides. So basically, if that's the case, we can conceive of it. We're in, aren't we? We're always connected. We can't be anything else. Where else would we be? Can't be anyplace else. And because, and we also cannot be anyplace else other than here. And the infinite, we cannot be anyplace else but in the center. We're all in the center. Our mind sees it differently. Our mind disconnects us. Why is that? Because the mind is limited. The mind has got the bubble. And the bubble is spinning faster and faster. The only thing that blocks us from knowing and from connection, pure connection and pure love is what? Our mind. Our mind's judgment. Our mind's view. Our spinning bubble. That's what happens. The faster it spins, we've all been there, trying to go to sleep at night or whatever, and the mind is spinning away. And you just wish at that point that you could somehow drill a hole or take a little, 2-inch piece out of your head, okay, open it and let it go out, okay, whatever's been spinning around, and then put it back together, all right? And then you're back in the game, and then taking all the pressure off. Now, the only thing that keeps you from, quote, knowing is that which wants to know, and that's the mind. Okay? And why does the mind want to know? The mind wants to know so it can make choices. The mind wants to know so it can stay in control. The mind wants to know so it is not focused on being alone or fearing death. The mind also wants to know so it has no reason to fear the unknown anymore. Because that's what the mind is afraid of. That which it does not know, that which it has yet to experience, takes on gargantuan proportions. Okay? We're always afraid about the things that we don't know. What will happen if I ever did this? Oh my God. We don't know, of course, but we're afraid of it. So, I can't do that. All these bad things could happen. I'm not doing that. Same thing happens in our relationship, okay? Now, understand, all these spinning bubbles, all right, are all in relationship also. As we sit here now, the bubbles have slowed down, all right? So it makes it a little easier to connect. But that connection comes from really outside the mind itself. Because when you're outside the mind, there's no judgment. If there's no judgment, there's no barrier to connection. It's just simple to connect. Because there's nothing to fear. It's simply a matter of opening up. And that's exactly how it happens. It just opens up. And once it opens up, like you could feel that. You could feel that openness. Right? Just feel it. And as you came right in on it. Because it's safe. And that's what we're looking for. We're looking for that safety. That safety and connection. Now, every time you get the mind involved, and let me just say this, the more, quote, intelligent you are, the more issues you will normally have with your mind. Because what will happen is your mind will want to take you other places where it creates and deals with theories, okay? Less provable things. It believes that it's on a journey to prove things, but it's really not. What it is it's doing is creating something or creating a quest for something that will always be out of reach. But as long as it's out of reach, the great news is for the mind, its purpose never ceases, because you can never catch it. You can never catch that which you've been seeking. Yeah.
I understand, like, it's called like baggage, and all the judgments and experience that you've had that, that fills you up and that you react to, okay? But you don't start every day with a clean slate. It's all still there. It's what keeps you awake. It's what keeps you wondering whether or not you made the right choices and everything else. How can you ever, you're saying like open your mind and let like new thoughts in? If it's there, it's like it's taking up all that space and you can't get anything. There's no space for anything new because that's still there.
Yep, I got you. Very good question. Okay, it's a question that everybody has. Everybody has that question. Now, here's what I'd like you to know. our, let's use your word, baggage, our experiential foundation, all right, well, let's say our baggage, that which we bring into relationship, that which we bring into every day when we get up in the morning, from whether we're worried about paying the bills or the children or husbands or whatever, okay? All this is part of our experiential foundation and the growth of it. But let's understand what our experiential foundation is, okay? Past in there? Yep, absolutely past in there. And judgments of the past. It's the sum total of all the choices, the results, and judgments, okay? Of all. Now, the thing to understand about that is, it is simply information. That's all it is. It's information. And we pay a big price for that information. All right? Made a choice, got a result. We like this one, okay. Got information from that, so we've got that. Made a choice, got a result. Hated that one, okay. That goes in there. As we keep going through life, all this information accumulates. Now, what happens is, and what you would, and your descriptive word of being baggage is one that's been used forever, pretty much, okay? Now, because we don't see it as information, we see it as who we are. What we have done, we believe is who we are, okay? We are not what we do. We're not what we've done. We're not our mind. We're much, much more than that. Now, what happens is, when we look at it from the standpoint of baggage, who's got the leash again? The mind. The mind. Now, here's what I'd like you to think about. I just want you to picture this now. As we go through life, and as we're working on this baggage, okay? And the whole concept of it, I'm going to take it a little further too for you. What happens is that baggage, let's use that term now, baggage. I don't use it much myself anymore, okay? But let's use it because it's well recognized, okay? What happens is we project that baggage to others. People can feel it, our energy. We have that baggage. We bring it into relationships. We bring it to everybody we meet, depending upon how much of any bit of it is up at any particular time. Now, picture ourselves as going through life with this huge, hideous green and pink bag, okay, with purple blotches on it. And you're dragging this thing like this, and you're all bent over, okay? That's this experiential foundation, okay? But now it's baggage, okay? And here it is, and we're dragging this along. Oh, gee, I can't believe this, you know. Each one of them, oh, all right? And everybody we meet, oh, they feel it, okay? Maybe we show them a different side of it, but here it is, it's got all kinds of things sticking out the sides of it, all right? Sharp things, round things, flat things, okay, square things, okay, things that are shaking and everything else, all right? All this stuff is going on. Now, understand, this is all information. Our past is information. It's not who we are, it's what we've learned. That's what it is, what we've learned. Now, I would liken this bag, okay, that's got you all bent over, to the ancient monks sitting with their quill pens, translating the New Testament, the Old Testament, right? There were no copiers, okay? And here they sat by candlelight doing this kind of stuff. And of course, you know, we went through a lot of monks translating all this stuff because it took so long. All we're doing, but they were working with information. So all we're going to do now is we're going to take this information that we have here, we're going to update this. Forget about the Germans, okay? The old ledgers and stuff like that. Now we're gonna turn around and we're gonna burn some DVDs, right? Zip. Same stuff, same stuff. Take it, put it on DVDs now. Zip. So now what happens? The bag is gone. Now we've got some DVDs. Maybe we'll have this much in DVDs, all right? Reduces it that much. And now we go out and we buy ourselves a beautiful Gucci bag, all right? Nice, smart, you know, gorgeous, slots in there, and we throw them in there. That is our experiential foundation. That is now our information to use the next time we have to make a choice. That's what this is all about, is making choices and getting results. Now, as we, and a lot of the stuff that was in there that we didn't like is great information to make a better choice the next time, a choice that will make us happier, okay? Or be able to integrate choices, okay? So they're more workable. So now you come up with a problem, and here's the problem, and you know your problem or potential choice. You've got 6 choices. Then you look at me and say, oh, and then you go like this, pull out this, throw it in, it goes like, whew. We did this one before, or we did one similar to this, and we did one like this, and blah, 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 and we're not doing those, all right? This is a new one, I'm gonna take a shot on that one, okay? And now we make a choice. That's the value of this. Once this is gone, you can't believe, once you understand it's information, it's just like you float. You float because it's not bending you over, because it's not, the judgments that are in there are not truth. They're opinions. That's all they are.
So you need to let go of the opinions that you have of your, I mean, I've been told recently, you overthink it. And I'm sure I do. I don't know how to change that, but I'm sure I do. You know, like way into depth, and it's really not that complicated. But
Okay, let's look at that. And you hear that a lot, okay? And in fact, you'll hear that oftentimes from psychologists, okay, and counselors who will say, oh, you overthink things. You overthink things. And basically, what they're doing when they do that is, it's kind of got a seductive appeal to it, okay? Almost like, well, your mind is so superior that certainly you're working on these things, and it's natural, and blah, 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 okay? There's this little bit of seductiveness with that, all right? The truth of the matter is, what you're doing is revisiting opinions, okay? Revalidating opinions. You're taking the old opinion out. It's like going to the china cabinet, okay? It's the same stuff you've had for 20 years, okay? You walk in now and you're looking for something new. Same place, okay? The china cabinet, it's only this big, okay? Same place. You're looking for something new in there with the same stuff. Ain't there. It's not there, okay? Now, the judgments, the opinions you're talking about here are the things that you can use, all right? The first thing, here's the first thing you can do with that. First thing you can do with that is, when you get that feeling, all right? Oh, this is happening again, the same thing is coming up again, all right? First thing you say to yourself, or say to your mind, is, why is that still bothering you? Mind, why is that still bothering you? And the mind says, well, it never should have happened. Why not? Well, because I didn't like the result. Okay. Did we learn from it? That's not the point. Well, I think maybe it is the point. If you explain it to me, I'd feel a little better about it. And I probably want to listen to the next thing you have to say. But we're not finished with this yet. That's what I call questioning the mind to a 0 point. You take and you ask the mind why it acted a certain way, why it believes a certain thing, what it thinks of this. And what happens is that as you do this, the mind begins to understand that what you're doing is you're reversing things. You're turning it around. The mind is no longer the inquisitor, okay? Now what's happening is you're asking the inquisitor questions. And you're asking reasonable questions. You're not asking anything that's rocket science here. You're saying, why? You know? One of the easy things to do is when your mind is giving you a rough time, and see, when that happens, understand, now, let's go back to where I was very early, okay, with the kid bumping into the tree, okay? Our natural state is that of the small child. That's our natural state, okay? So now, when we get into this kind of situation, and the mind is now using all the judgments from all of your life and it's spinning around, and again, we got this humming really on it, okay? What you can do is, and I'm a very big advocate of talking with your mind, okay? And you can talk with your mind, because understand, you're not your mind, okay? So you are able to talk with your mind. It's not like you're standing here, okay, and you're this, and now you're just raving into the wind. It's not that. We already know the mind takes credit for everything and the blame for nothing, right? So we can talk with our mind. I talk with my mind. Now, one of the things you can say, and I'll give you some devices to use to stop your mind, okay, to slow it and to stop it. Now, in your case, there's one that's very important, okay? And this is what you're going to do. All you're going to say to your mind, and you'll just say it in your mind. I'll say it, and then I'll say it again, and just say it in your mind. You just watch that. Mind, why don't you like me? Mind, why don't you like me? Nothing. Right? Zip. So that's your quick out. Okay? That's your quick out. What this does is, this teaches you, and it teaches your mind. What you're doing is you're training your mind. You're training your mind into a different type of relationship. And here's the deal. The mind has been running the show. Remember though, the mind is very insecure. It thinks it's going to die someday. Okay? That's the unknown. It's going to be all alone. It will be useless. All right? It's afraid of that. All right? So, what do I do? I say to my mind, I say, mind, I love you. And I want to thank you for all you've always done for me. You protected me. You helped me make choices. You helped me remember important dates. You helped me connect with people. And quite frankly, I don't know how you do it, because it seems that you never rest. And you're entitled to rest, a break, with all you do. And I love you. I just want to tell you, I want to thank you. Never mind. Just thanks. Yeah, you're right. No, I'm entitled. You know. It's about time you realize that. You know. And so you start to let the mind know that you care about it, because what you want to do is you want to bring it out of its insecurity. And how do you reassure a small child? Okay? Okay? The mind is like the small child. It's got the same fears. Don't leave me alone, Mommy. Okay? Same kind of deal. And so but the thing is, you gotta be serious about it with your mind. When I tell my mind I love it, I'm serious. Okay, I'm not kidding, because I couldn't do it without my mind. I couldn't be here and making choices and getting results and learning. I couldn't do it without my mind. All right, now, when I'm here and I'm talking to you guys, okay? My mind knows I'm on my own, okay? My mind is taking a, all right? This is not coming from my mind, but it's a matter of me developing a peaceful coexistence with my mind, a peaceful partnership. Now that doesn't mean that my mind isn't going to test me, isn't going to give me a hard time, or beat me up from time to time, because I'm still here, still in this manifestation, okay? I've still got this going on at times, all right? But I also have the ability and permission of my mind, because it's not afraid. It's not afraid that I'm going to dump it, okay, and ignore it. All right? And I have the permission, it's permission to go outside of it, because it knows I'm coming back. That's when you. Some people, when they will try to meditate, will have a problem, or to be hypnotized will have a problem, and the mind will start to panic. It'll start to freak out because its fears you're not coming back. It's can be left all alone. All right. So you can talk with your mind. You can convince your mind, and just let it know, hey, I love you. I'm not going anyplace. I'm coming back. Watch me. Watch what I'm doing. In fact, you don't have to do anything. And the mind will test you at times like that too. The mind will say to you, well, what about the car payment? Okay, and you go, okay, I'm going to make the car payment next week. When? I'll make it on Wednesday. Is the money in the bank? There will be. Where's it coming from? We have a special job on Monday. Mine's okay now. All right? And then you go back to where you were. Just because the mind wants attention, just because the mind creates a problem, okay, doesn't mean you have to go marching down that street. It's again, you have an answer for the mind. Other times you'll ask the mind a question. But what it is, it's the active participation with your mind in allowing the mind to relax, in giving it what it's entitled to, some space. See, the mind itself, interestingly enough, creates problems. And why does it create problems? It creates problems so it can solve them. It's like job security. Okay? It remains necessary. It remains relevant. The mind wants to be important. If the mind's important, it is not as insecure. The more it can get your attention, the happier it is. The more comfortable it is.
This is why I make myself have a lot of projects. Is that right? That
Yeah.
fall into that same area?
Yeah, that's a good observation, Ted. What people will do very often, what Ted's talking about is, Ted is always a busy guy. He's always doing a lot of things. People will create projects for themselves, all right? They will do a lot of different things, busy work, or things they think are important at the time, or they want to be important at the time. And the reason they do it is so that they're not alone with themselves. They're moving ahead of that. They're continually hopping ahead of the question of who am I? Okay? Why am I here? Why didn't I do this? What am I going to do next? It's already got a plan. Well, I'm going to finish this table. All right? So it's already away from this. What happens is, on our journey as we're going through all this stuff, What happens, understand that we start out, and now again, our natural state, that of the small child, we start out as like this, okay? We are in confluence with what I call the all. The all is the infinite, everything. We're in confluence with that. Now, as a small child, we're not judging at that point, okay? We're not worrying about the connection, we're not worried about all the other stuff so much. So basically, we're drifting along, and we're operating right within that same space. Now what happens? As soon as we say, I want to be loved a certain way, well, what happened? It became all about me, not about everybody else, not about the all, the infinite. It became about me on my voyage. As soon as I did this, that which I had before is no longer available to me at that point. So what happens is, and understand that it's all about energy, all about energy, and information. Energy is simply information, and I'll get into that in a second. But now we've got this going on. So what happens is, the more we do this, this will always be behind us. We're not going to get it, we can't get it. It's like the mind chasing, seeking, and continually, okay? Because it believes it'll never die because it hasn't gotten what it wanted yet, all right? So what happens is, as we slow down, we then come back into confluence with it. Or as we turn around, okay, we then can begin to access parts of it. It's, and once we come back into confluence with it, then we have it. It's right there, always there. It's, what we're looking for is looking at us as energy. Now, what do I mean when I say that energy is information? Energy is information in this way. Understand, it's all about energy. So that means everything we do, everything that's here, all of us, everything, our thoughts, everything, all energy. Now, it becomes information at such time as we perceive it. Now, you will perceive something at one point in time that I have not perceived. That energy became information to you. It's not to me yet. It's as yet to be realized information. I hand you a book, and the book says the Walter Belling story on it, okay, by Joe Blow. I couldn't write my own stuff, all right? And so I hand you that book. Now, it's a red book, the Walter Belling story by Joe Blow. There's no other jacket on it. When I hand you that, you only know at that point that's the Walter Belling story by Joe Blow. Right? Joe Blow, who wrote the book, right, knows the energy inside. It's information to him. Now, as you open the book and you start to turn the pages, now that energy becomes information to you. And this is also part of how we write our life's story. We keep turning the pages, experiencing the energy and converting it to information that we use, okay, instead of this, okay, on our journey, on our search for connection in this manifestation, this lifetime. Now, I want you to understand that everybody is at the level of being or source identical. Identical, okay? Because there's no judgment there, okay? All the same. The only thing that differentiates people is judgment. Now, in this manifestation, this lifetime, we are all different because of the different experiential foundation, okay? One is here, and one is here, one's here, 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 wherever. We're all different there because if we were all the same there, we just sit there looking at each other. We couldn't learn anything from each other. All know the same stuff. Identical. Everything would be happening at the same time. We learn nothing. So what that means is, and this is what's really great about it, is when your mind starts kicking up a fuss about all your old stuff and everything, okay? And says, oh, you know, I wasn't very happy with what you did, you know, blah, 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 blah. The reason that we're all different here, and I want you to understand, everybody brings something to the party. Difference is what makes the process work. I can learn from you, and you can learn from Linda. And so basically what we're doing is, as I'm talking here now, I'm learning from all of you. I can feel you, I can feel your energies. And that's how I know you. Okay? I'm not knowing you here, I don't need to know you here. Because this, when I'm up in here, basically all I'm going to be doing is what? Judging something. Alright? To know the truth, you feel and know the truth. Feeling itself in no mind, outside the mind, is how you access pure truth. Because there's no judgment attached to it. No mind equals no judgment. It's that simple. And again, only two things you want to know. Only two things you want to know. I'm okay, and everything's going to be fine. We're done. That's it. Now, as far as pure love is concerned, everybody wants pure love, pure unconditional love. Well, as soon as you're looking for love in a certain way, what happens? We already have a condition, right? We already started with a condition. I want him to be this tall to this tall, okay? He should have red hair, blue hair, blah, 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 blah. Okay? And this is what happens. So we got conditionality built in to start with. Now, conditionality, you can have a lot of fun with it at times because it brings different things into your life, okay? But conditionality can't give you permanent and pure connection because it's got the mind blocking it. Got that spinning again, okay? That's basically how it works. It's really simple stuff. Not rocket science. But everybody makes it a big deal, like it's so complicated. It's really not complicated. The complicated part is when our mind tells us, I know better, okay, than anybody else. My truth is better, okay? Yeah, that's your mind. My truth is better, okay? And then your mind, you might want to sleep in one day. You're really exhausted. And your mind says, you're wasting time. You have this to do, and this to do, and this to do, and this to do, and this to do. And so then you sit there and you go like this. Mind, why don't you like me? And now it shuts up for a while. Where you start asking the mind questions. And you question the mind to a 0 point. Once that happens, when that happens enough, what happens is the mind itself understands and knows within the limits of the mind's knowing that you can do it. Once the mind knows you can do it, it doesn't really want to go there that often. Really, it's going to go there a lot less often. It's really amazing how it works. Excuse me. I could use myself as an example. Okay? I was a rough guy. Okay. scorched earth, you know? Scorched earth policy, you know? The world was my oyster, your oysters were my oysters, you know, the whole bit, okay? And that's how I function, really, really well, okay? Somebody who knows,
You've been tenderized.
and basically what it was all about me. My mind, its insecurity was so great that I had a tremendous need for control. Because if I could control everything, then nothing was going to happen that was outside my reach, and nothing was going to happen to hurt me. That's the reason for control. Okay? And I could care less about anything, okay, aside from myself. Now, what I want you to consider here is that the more life becomes about you, the less it becomes about everybody else. And the less opportunity there is to connect with others, because you're taking it all for yourself. So if you're in a relationship, for example, let's suppose this is the relationship. Now, the more it becomes about me, the less it is about that other person. It continues to be more about me. And what happens? They get squeezed. And as they get squeezed, what happens? They're going to accept that for a period of time, only so long as they're still learning from the choice they made to stay in that relationship. Once that changes, once they realize that that's all they're going to learn, then they're gone. It's over. It's done. And that's how it works. That's the real down and dirty version.
Well,
Now,
I think there's another aspect to that though, because when you're acting in that scorched earth way and it's like, it's all about me, it's actually obvious to other people that, wow, here's a really damaged, hurting person. Because conscious people don't act like that. So when somebody's acting like that, like it's all about me and your feelings don't matter, and it's obvious to other people. And so not only is there an aspect of you squeezing them out, but there's also an aspect of them voluntarily leaving, because it's like, until this guy wakes up, what can I do?
it's always voluntary. You're squeezing them, it's their choice, always. And they choose to drop out. I should have gone a little further, but you're right.
But then the person is really playing a game,
What's that?
and I don't know if they actually see that everybody else sees through the game, through the mask.
Well, it's you know, okay.
You know what I'm
But
saying,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, but understand, it's the voluntary dropout or stay in the relationship. That's what happens. Now, there are some people who are very good actors, all right? Okay? And they will have something be all about them, but they control it by trying to make it appear as though it's about somebody else. Okay? And I think that's where you are with that. And yes, there are those kind of people. Now, there are people that control by not controlling. Okay? But they know how far somebody's going to go. And they also will withhold the control to make the other person wonder why doesn't he care enough to want to control me or to stop me from doing this. So you're back to the control game. It's all a question of how you spin it. Okay? It's almost like a game of tennis, or say it's ping pong. Right? And all you do is you just keep hitting it back over there with a little more spin on it to see who hits it into the net first. And that's how it works. Okay? Relationships work like that. Let me just get back to what I was talking about, giving you a little idea, because somebody asked me to make sure I talked a little bit about the process and, you know, from how I got from scorched earth to being here, okay? And the one thing I want to assure you all is that every one of you, okay, could be sitting right here, okay? It's all a question of when you allow yourself to make the choice to allow the wall to disappear. I was actually on a massage table when my process started. It fractured my leg that year playing golf, and I, being the competitive person that I was at the time, I continued to play another 17 holes with a fractured leg, you know, and these deals. And there were people involved in my care, and this one particular massage therapist had gone to a Barbara Brennan seminar. Barbara Brennan is a woman who was a NASA psychologist at one time. She's got healing centers around the world. She wrote a book, was a bestseller, called Hands of Light. And when Fabienne had come back from an introductory seminar, and I said, you know, well, look, show me what you got, you know, one of these deals. So she started to work on my minor chakras of my feet. And all of a sudden, just something was different. I didn't know what it was. And I suddenly saw like 3 tidal waves, okay? Huge waves coming together. One in shades of violets and purples and stuff like that. One in shades of golds and the other in olives. And I watched these and I just remember, she's working on my feet, and I just remember saying, wow, this is really something. I wasn't afraid. In fact, I remember saying that I was not a religious person at all. One of the more resistant people to anything religious, or any concept of religion. And all I remember saying, thank you, God, for allowing me to see this. And the next thing, the waves came breaking down. All the colors were combining together kaleidoscopically. And again, I was very grateful, you know. And I was saying, I'm not afraid of this, you know. And then I realized I was part of it. And it was not something that I normally would feel to be a part of something. And then I remember there was clearing, and it was like I was on like a magic carpet ride. And here I was, you know, sailing along, and then I saw what was my impression of a European village. Something like an impressionistic painter's view. No real sharp line and form, but like shimmering, okay, impressionistic. I remember seeing movement down in the village, and I said, oh, there are people down there, and then all of a sudden my vocabulary changed. It was, no, those are beings. And I said, okay, you know, it's from the inside of me. And so I went past that, and then went to something that looked reminded like a European castle, maybe in Scotland or someplace, Ireland, wherever. And I remember seeing there was a moat around it, and there was movement, and now suddenly, you know, there was no question, there were beings, okay? There was not about people anymore, there were beings. And went through that, and then into a volcano. But the volcano was not active. And then out the other side, and I said, wow, this is cool, you know. And now my sense of gratitude was even greater. It was not only thank you for letting me see this, thank you for letting me experience this. And then I came out of that, and now there was like it's like the vastness. And there was a cloud here, and there was a whitish cloud. And I knew there was something on the other side of it, but I didn't know what. And so it started to change density. And it was opaque and translucent and all this. And then it finally separated, and I could see there was like a tunnel there. And it was something similar to what you hear or you read about people who have crossed over and come back, only there was really, nobody was calling to me, Walter, over here, you know, there was none of that, you know, going on. There was no music, you know, a little disappointing, I guess, no music. Anyway, so here it was, but it was in shades of olives and golds, and it was segmented, and it just went like this down. My sense was, it was very, very peaceful. I could go there if I wanted to, but there was no reason to. And I said, no, I didn't. And then the cloud closed up. And then what happened is, now, when you're in the vastness, understand when we're in this form here, we follow line and form, okay, the dimensionality. We follow the wall to another, it directs us to a point here and over to here. The cloud was doing this, it was this cloud, so I looked down, the cloud is solid. Right here is an aperture, a window you could call it, but again it was shimmering, you know, again, no sharp line and form because there was a lack of dimension, of real defined dimension. And in the window, in the aperture, there was, I looked at this, somebody there, and I saw this being, you know. I said, hi, and comes back to me, it's okay, reassuring me, it's okay. And I said, you know, it was just great, you know, and my sense of gratitude was even greater at this point. And then I saw a scene that I had seen many times before, but it was always the last thing I saw before I went to sleep on nights when I was having trouble getting to sleep. And I thought I was standing on a hillside looking down into a valley at dawn, and just the other side, there were lights down in here, just that little pale hint of yellow, okay, and then the real dark of sky above. And I was looking, I said, oh, I know this scene, I've been here, and I've seen that. And those are lights, and then all of a sudden there's, no, those are beings. That's energy. And as soon as I said that, I feel and I hear, that's right. We've always been here. You just chose not to see us. You've never been alone. You're not alone now, and you never will be. And for the first time in my life, I knew that I belonged, that I was a part of everything, and that I was loved. And it was just amazing. At that point, I thank you, God, for letting me see this and experience this. And then the last thing was thank you, God, for allowing. And that was the allowance of everything. And so what actually happened, and Fabienne had come back in the room, she had left, and then came back in the room, she knew something was going on. She said, are you okay? And I said, yeah, I'm fine, because I had some tears coming down here. And she said, are you okay? She said, what's going on? I said, there are no boundaries, there are no dimensions, there are no limits. And that was the start of the process of the tucking away of the mind, of the opening of the mind to go beyond the bubble. Suddenly, this is what started to happen. And then information started coming in after I was in this. I went home, it was really funny, it's summertime, it was late July, and I went upstairs, I had the door to the deck open, the windows. I was lying in my bed, and I was just very sensitive, very open. And I remember I said, the wind is coming. There wasn't a breeze that day. It was a summer day. It wasn't a cloud in the sky. The wind was coming. I don't know how long went by, and the next thing is, this wind came in, blew the drapes out, curtains out, warm summer breeze across my body and out the floor. And I said, this is good, you know. And then said, and the rain will be here soon. There's no prediction of rain, there's nothing like that. I don't know, maybe 10 minutes later, whatever it was, I could smell the rain coming in, and there it was. And it was just happening. And then information was coming into me. And again, you understand that I didn't want to be part of any of this stuff. I was not a seeker. Most people that you find talking about this were seekers. Okay, I was a resistor, I guess, is what you call me. And in fact, Ted, I had mentioned it to Ted, and Ted said, start writing it down, you know, dictating it. And I started writing the stuff down. It's my handwriting, okay, and my voice in the tapes. But I had no idea what this stuff was. I was talking about beings, I was talking about this, I had no idea what the stuff was. Nothing. If you listen to the tapes, they're monotonal, like the voice of an announcer, just a narrator, just narrating what's going on, okay, what's happening, and about balance and choices and gratitude and a whole bunch of stuff. And I kept reading. In fact, I wrote a poem on the beach, and I never realized I'd never written any poetry. And I realized finally what it was my poem of transition, of transiting through the dimension, the dimensional barrier. And then the more I wrote, this went on for a period of time, I continued to read over what was there before, and then finally I began to understand what it was and what I was writing about. And then I just started to live it. Just started happening. And as it happened, in my case, the first thing was I felt a little bit different. I felt kind of special that I knew all this stuff. And then there just came a point where the idea of being special was so foreign to me. Just everything just peeled away, and the self was pretty much gone. And then I just had to learn how to use the information when people asked me to do it. I didn't want to be just telling people about stuff and look, this is what I know or stuff. Ted had actually got me involved in some emotional release groups, and that became a bit of a problem. And it became a problem because I could see so quickly what was going on that I would just go right in on it, and it blew people's minds. I mean, they were not ready for that. There's something that would take years of therapy, and that's all I did. And Ted saw, and then we had one where the woman just, she really went ballistic. She was trying to present as something else, and went like that, and she was, you know, they had this big cushion, and some cushions, a baseball bat, something. I thought she was gonna wreck the house, they were gonna knock everything down. She just went absolutely, really ballistic. And that was the last emotional release group that I got involved in, because I had not yet learned how powerful it was, but how to ease people into themselves. That's really what it was. So it took a bit, but then it just kept opening up. And during that time, also the wall that I built up, okay, and the wall and stuff, was, I used to project a wall of ice at about 100 yards, and people would break their nose trying to get in on it. There was no way getting close to me, I'll tell you. And suddenly that melted. That just opened and melted. It was gone. And then once that happened, my past became a blessing, okay? I was no longer all bent over, any of that kind of stuff. And because the wall was gone, connection was available. It was that simple. And then I connected.
Can we all do that?
Absolutely.
How?
It's all a matter of, the first thing, again, the two things that you want to know. I'm okay, and everything's going to be fine, okay? Knowing that to start with, okay? Knowing that your mind will tell you many, many things. But the mind can never tell you the pure truth, can it? Because every truth is different. So you have the ability to listen to your mind or not listen to your mind. The way that I find the most effective is in dialoguing with the mind, talking with the mind, taking the mind, questioning the mind to a 0 point, or just stopping the mind. If we want to stop the mind very quickly, I give you one way to do it. And for you, that's really that's the one, okay? That will work for you again and again and again. And your mind will finally stop the nonsense. Another one. And again, it's reassuring the mind first, okay? Mind, I love you, you know, I couldn't do the things that I do without you. And thank you so much, you know, just really letting the mind know that you really appreciate all the things that it's done for you. And then you can say, and mind, you know, and you never even take a break, and you're entitled. So if you want to take a coffee break, you know, or lunch, or whatever it is, go ahead, you know, it's not a problem. You really are entitled. And the mind gets more relaxed. And at that point, you'll say to yourself, and there's an important word in this, I'm going to say something, and then I'll say it again, and then you'll say it in your mind. And what you're going to say is, mind, please stop thinking. Mind, please stop thinking. It stops. Got to say please, because it's insecure and it needs respect. So you got to say please. Very simple, very straightforward. Now, the next device I'll give you, a little bit different. In fact, this one came up one night with a friend of mine in the back, one of our cameramen. We were having dinner, and his mind was spinning, and there were reasons for it. And I said, this is what I want you to say. It was just created, it was created for him on the spot. And I said, and I'll say it once, and then I'll repeat it, and then I'd like you to say it in your mind, okay? Okay, mind, what do you want to do now? okay, mind, what do you want to do now? And again, that's it. The reason that works is because you're asking the mind to do something without giving it information to work with. You're asking it to do something independently of any outside stimulus. That's why that one works. And I'll give you one more. And this, those of you who have meditated will be familiar somewhat with this. I'm not a meditator myself, and I happen to be a supporter of people who meditate, but I'm not a meditator. It takes me too long. Okay, it's too long. I can get there much faster, so that's why I'm not a meditator. But simply, all we're going to do is we'll take a breath, just, you know, nice deep breath, just take it all the way down to your stomach, okay, and then just hold it briefly, and then just release it, okay, completely. Now, we're going to do that again, and this time I want you to be aware of the breath. I just want you to feel the breath itself, just be aware of the breath. Okay, so this is just take a nice deep breath, and just feel the breath come in through your nose, down to your throat, all the way down to your stomach. You just briefly hold it, and then release it and feel it coming out again, all the way out. Okay. We'll do that one more time, just feeling the breath through the nostrils and down the throat, all the way to your stomach. Just slightly holding it. Release it, just feel the breath itself. Now, if you notice, you had no thoughts while you were feeling your breath. The mind cannot do both. It can't be aware, it can't think and feel the breath at the same time. And that you can do as many times as you like. You can do these in situations where you have people around you. You walk into a room full of people, and sometimes you feel all alone. You walk in and you can just say very simply to yourself, you know, okay, mind, what do you want to do now? And then, or try, mind, please stop thinking. Or the breathing. And you can also do these, suppose you're in a conversation with someone, and the conversation is not going exactly the way you want it to go. What you can do is you can, just by introducing one of these, okay, being aware of the fact that your mind is giving you whatever irritation or whatever problem it is at the moment, means, and this is important, that it's taking you outside your natural state. That's the important thing to remember. Your natural state is that of the small child. When you feel anything but good, anything but well, okay, that means you're outside that state, or you're being drawn outside that state. That's when you step up and you dialogue with your mind. And once you do it this way, you get used to doing it. It becomes very smooth. At first, what's going to happen to you is you're going to get swept up in it, okay, because the mind is going on, and you're going to be swept up in the mind's game. But then what happens is they'll start to come time, you'll start to develop times when you will be able to recognize it. And once you recognize it, you can then take action. You can then do something. You can talk to it. You can say whatever else you want with the mind. And this idea of questioning the mind to a 0 point, why do you feel like that? Mind, why are you impatient? Mind, why didn't you like me? Mind, what was so bad about that? Or mind, why do I feel alone right now? Did you leave me? Now that's an interesting one. I've never used that before. But it's got a very similar effect. Mind, why do I feel alone now? Did you leave me? Stops, doesn't it? Shuts off again. So you now have another one. And this is how stuff comes to me. I mean, it's just, you know, bang. It's here. And the reason it happens is because of your energy, your stuff. That comes to me. It comes, you know, it's not a matter of identifying whose it is, because it's the energy of the collective. See, the great news is that you're always connected. Now, right now, you feel the energy in here is incredible. It's light. It's very, very light. Okay? And you guys feel connected to me, and I know that. But there's also, you're all connected to each other. That's the tough one to get. It's really simple, but it's the tough one to get. Because our mind always wants to be distracted by something. Our mind works by distraction. We're sitting here talking like this, okay? And if your mind gets involved, your mind is looking for something to distract it so it can learn something new or do something new. So when your mind starts doing that, it's working by distraction. That makes sense?
Is that a good thing?
It's amazing how it works. And again, it's so simple, but it's not always easy. The most difficult part of it is recognizing when the game is on. Okay? Recognizing when the game is on. The mind's game. Because once you recognize the game is on, then you can do something about it. Then you can step into it. Then you can go outside the mind. You can slow it. You can stop it. You can observe it from a distance. It's really simple. It's the awareness of when the game is on. If I want you to take anything away from this talk tonight, it is the awareness of when the game is on.
And you say game, you mean when your
The
mind's
mind's game.
wandering and it's, you know,
And the mind is beating you up. You feel that you're outside that natural state of the little child, okay? Once you're outside that, you start moving outside it, the game is about to start, and then the game is on, okay? Once you have the game on, you have devices you can use now to work and turn the mind's own game back on itself. You can create a game that you can win. Because the mind creates a game that you can't win. Because the mind creates an expectational game. The mind expects a result. It made this choice, it wanted a certain result. That was its expectation. If it didn't get it, what happened? You failed, the mind didn't. You did, right? Yeah, the mind's the same. You couldn't even do that. And that's the equivalent of the mind. Say, you couldn't even do that, right? It's unbelievable how, and we continue to buy into it over and over and over and over. And we get beaten down and down and down. Now, while we're here in this manifestation, understand, we're gonna be making choices, getting results. You want what you want, but you get what you get. Okay? The mind doesn't like that. The mind says, I want this, if I don't get this, you failed me, and I'm not happy. You remember those dolls where they used to, they were on like a steel rod or something, and you would punch them, and they would go down,
Jump
and come up. Or the ones that had the round bottoms, and you'd punch it, and it would go down and come up. Well, that's what life is like. We make choices, we take hits, we go down, and until we realize what the mind is doing, we stay there. We say, oh, poor me. Oh my God, this is terrible. Why does this always happen to me? Okay? The more aware you become of that, of that the mind has done that, the faster you pop up. The greater your awareness of when the mind is running the game, okay, the faster you bounce up. Ba-boom, ba-boom, ba-boom. This is life, okay? The poor me kills you, drains you. It's you can't get out of bed, you don't want to get out of bed, you don't want to go to work, you don't want to do anything, okay? It's poor me, because your mind is telling you that, all right? Now, what happens is, there comes a point in the awareness process, like I see the stuff coming, all right? I see it coming at me. So I can duck, you know, I can go to one side, another side, glance, you know, glance. But what happens is I bounce up faster. I'm already thinking about getting up before it hits me, all right? Because what happens is you can say that, yeah, I can duck, okay, and it's going to go over my head. But what's the difference? Because it's going to get me eventually because it's something I have to learn. Okay? Pick your time. If I don't want it now, I duck. Otherwise I say, all right, you know, boom, I take my shot. But I'm already planning on getting up. I've already decided what I'm going to do when I get up. Okay? But that's the more aware you become of it. And the awareness is, when is the mind running its game? As soon as it starts to run its game, okay, now you can take action. When you feel frustrated, for example, and you feel frustrated, say you felt frustrated with me, okay? You're not frustrated with me. All that's happened is I've reflected something in you that you don't like, okay? But we've all got the same stuff. You're not going to say, your mind's not going to accept the blame for that anyway, so it'll be my fault. I'm okay with that, all right? But basically what happens is that when you feel that frustration, understand that you have choices you can make. All frustration is, it's a flag that goes up. It's a red flag that goes up that says, something in me needs tending. Something in me, okay? Not somebody else who irritated me or I got irritated over, okay? It's me. So what can I do? I can say to the person, you know, can we talk about this another time? I'm not feeling well, I have to run, I have to go. If it's on the telephone, you can, the same kind of thing. If it's somebody with a problem that's giving you, that wants to give you something, say, let me have that, I'll take care of that. Okay, then they're gone. And then you begin to realize that who's got the control? You. You can break it off, you can modify the conversation, you can take whatever it is, okay? You're the one that has control. That's the great news about it. And then you do what you want to do with it. It's really cool. Really cool. And it's simple, but again, it's the awareness, knowing when the mind is running its game. As soon as you feel outside your natural state, that's when you can take action. And you can also not take action and get the same stuff. And that simply means that you haven't had enough yet. all right?
Mhm.
So, but you can do it. You can do it. See, that's the great thing about this, is, as I said, not rocket science, okay? It's simple stuff, but it's not always easy. It's not always easy because, again, of the mind's expectations. And let me finish, let me close that out, where I was with that. The mind sets an expectation. I want this, it got that, all right? Let's say the mind, all right, so I want this, I got that. So I failed. I failed because I didn't achieve the mind's expectation. It wasn't my expectation, it was the mind who wanted this, okay? And I failed, I blew it, all right? That's according to the mind. Now, the way I deal with that is, I don't deal with expectations anymore. I don't deal with, I must have this. I deal now, instead of expectations, with preferences. I prefer to make $1 million. Okay? Now, if I expect to make $1 million, and I make $500,000, I failed, didn't I? My mind, I failed. Done, that's it. You couldn't even do that. Okay? I don't know how you couldn't do that. All right? Instead, we deal with preferences. Okay? Okay, I would prefer to make $1 million. Make $750, I'm okay. 500, I'm okay. 100, I'm okay. I'm okay. I have a range of choices, a range of outcomes that are acceptable. And again, who has the control over whether they're acceptable? Me. The mind said, I want this and I expect this. It's conditioning the mind to get it to understand about preferences. But you see how all these things fit together? They're all little pieces and we put them into it. And then we link them together. And then we look at them and then we see how we feel about it. Now, the secret of knowing basically is to not be in the mind, to allow yourself to go outside the mind, okay? To not be in the position where you're stuck, where you're allowed to have yourself, where it's spinning, continually spinning. When it's spinning at that speed, you cannot know. The only place you can know is feeling and knowing. Otherwise, you cannot know the truth that you're looking for. You cannot feel the love that you're looking for, the connection you're looking for. It's all feeling and knowing, rather than thinking and think you know. And that's how it works. And you agree, Brooke? I want to thank you. And I thank you for everything that I learned from you guys. And if anybody's got any questions or anything, I'd be happy to.
Sorry, I'm just a good little girl.
Right where you are, okay? What happens is your mind sets up the game, okay? And then it says, this is what we're looking to feel, okay? And if you feel this, this is a pretty good indication. The mind sets up all these instructions. And then you start to realize, you know, one day you're in a relationship, for example, or whatever, and you get up one day and you look, and you're sitting there looking at this person across the breakfast table or whatever, and you say, he doesn't even know what the hell I am. Right? He had no idea. And you want to smack him. Because he's wasted all your time at that point. It's amazing how it works. What happens is, see,
But not even relationships, because relationships, there's another variable, which is that other person.
Yeah.
We're even talking about things like rescuing a dog and thinking that this
Okay.
dog is rehabilitatable, it turned out not to be, or something like that.
Okay, well, understand that you're gonna make certain, you'll make choices, but, again, you want what you want, you get what you get, okay? And understand that there are other people making choices too, all right? And people will tell you things that also may influence your decision.